This is WFYI News Now. It's September 19th, and I'm Abriana Herron. On today's show, a federal judge orders the Indiana Department of Correction to provide a transgender inmate with gender-affirming surgery. We'll find out what it means that Indiana's work-based learning scholarships are maxed out. $11 million in grant funding are available to local groups focused on housing and community development. And a new survey of students in Indiana shows overall substance use rates are at their lowest point since 2015.
There are bidirectional relationships where sometimes substance use may lead to a behavior like bullying, or sometimes bullying may lead to substance use.
Those stories coming up, but first. A 15-year-old student at Perry Meridian High School was arrested by school police last week after allegedly assaulting a classmate. Now the victim's family and their attorneys are asking Perry Township schools to make immediate changes. The family says the student has serious head and face injuries and was taken to the hospital for emergency care. The family and their legal counsel want the school to make a stricter anti-bullying policy and train staff to handle violence better. District officials say they are disturbed by the assault and believe no student should face violence. A federal judge has ordered the Indiana Department of Correction to provide a transgender inmate with gender-affirming surgery. Indiana Public Broadcasting's Brandon Smith reports the judge's ruling found that a law banning such care likely violates the U.S. Constitution's ban on cruel and unusual punishment.
Autumn Cordileone has been incarcerated since 2002. She was diagnosed with gender dysphoria in 2020 and applied repeatedly to the DOC for gender-affirming surgery. The ACLU of Indiana, on behalf of Cordileone, sued the state shortly after a 2023 ban on such surgeries took effect. Judge Richard Young finds that law is likely unconstitutional. In his ruling, he says that Cordileone has a history of suicide attempts and has tried self-surgery to remove her genitals, and he says there's widespread medical consensus that providing gender-affirming surgery is a safe, therapeutic, and effective way to treat such gender dysphoria. Young's ruling only applies to Cordileone and does not halt or strike down the Indiana law more broadly. For Indiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Brandon Smith at the State House.
Indiana's work-based learning scholarships are maxed out. All available career scholarships were filled up more than a month before applications closed. Just below 2,000 high schoolers signed up, and hundreds are on the wait list. That's a sharp increase from last year when just more than 200 students signed up. Indiana Treasurer Daniel Elliott says the General Assembly will be asked to provide more funding for the program.
And I think what you're going to find is, there's going to be even more demand next year and even more demand the year after that.
The Career Scholarship Program provides high school students with up to $5,000 a year. It covers expenses for internships, apprenticeships, and certifications. The Indianapolis Department of Metropolitan Development recently announced applications are open for $11 million in grant funding from the Department of Housing and Urban Development. DMD will administer the federal funds to local organizations focused on housing and community development. Two of those programs, the Community Development Block Grant and the Home Investment Partnership Program, seek to provide communities with safe, affordable housing. Local nonprofit and for-profit organizations, as well as real estate developers, are encouraged to apply. Organizations can also apply for grants from two other federal programs. One of those programs, the Emergency Solutions Grant, is given out to organizations that provide emergency shelter, rapid rehousing, street outreach, and homelessness prevention services in Indy. The other is the Housing Opportunity for Persons with AIDS program. And for our final story today, a new survey of 60,000 students in Indiana shows that overall substance use rates are at their lowest point since at least 2015. As WFYI's Farah Ussery reports, the survey is conducted by the School of Public Health at Indiana University in Bloomington.
2 years ago, around 20% of high school seniors reported using alcohol in the past month. That rate has decreased this year to just around 15% of high school seniors. Rates of vaping also continued to drop. High school seniors saw a drop of 19 percentage points over the past 6 years. John Agley is an associate professor at IU Bloomington who was involved with the survey. He says they also ask questions about the social and mental health of students.
There are bidirectional relationships where sometimes substance use may lead to a behavior like bullying, or sometimes bullying may lead to substance use, or sometimes it's, a complex interchange of those things.
Agley says he hopes the survey findings would help direct resources where they are needed. I'm Farah Yusri.
That's all for today's episode of WFYI News Now. Our podcast is produced by Drew Daudelin, with support from the news team at WFYI and public media journalists across the state. Our news director is Sarah Neal-Estes. Kendall Antron produced our music, and I'm your host, Abriana Herron. If you like today's episode, remember to subscribe and share, and follow WFYI on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube to check in on our newsroom throughout the day. Thanks for listening. We'll be back tomorrow.